So much of our life is lived in a fog of automatic habitual behavior. We spend so much time on the hunt, but nothing ever quite does it for us. And we get so wrapped up in the hunt that it kind of makes us miserable.
I had everything I ever wanted. I had everything I was supposed to have. Everyone around me said, "You're successful." But really, I was miserable. There was this gaping void in my life. So I tried to fill that void the same way many people do, with stuff. Lots of stuff. I was filling the void with consumer purchases. I was spending money faster than I was earning it, attempting to buy my way to happiness. I thought I'd get there one day. Eventually, happiness had to be somewhere just around the corner. I was living paycheck to paycheck, living for a paycheck, living for stuff. But I wasn't living at all.
At a time when people in the West are experiencing the best standard of living in history, why is it that at the same time there is such a longing for more? I think of that as a kind of biologically based delusional craving. That auto-craving is a good strategy to keep animals alive, including early human animals, in really harsh conditions. But these days, today, it creates a disconnect. You're like a puppet whose strings are being pulled by Mother Nature and evolution, reaching back tens of millions of years. We still feel restless. We still are always scratching and clawing for more.
It's why lottery winners are miserable. It's why homeowners have 3-car garages. The first car creates an exponential, awesome rush of happiness and joy and utility. The second car comes about because we tire of the first car. And as humans, we're wired to become dissatisfied. It's an addiction, really. And we are encouraged to maintain the addiction through technology and information.
American culture has, for the most part, these blinders on. There's definitely this illusion of what our lives should look like. Whether it's advertising or your Instagram or Facebook feed, it's this illusion that our lives should be perfect.
It's natural to use other people's lives and even imagined lives, the confections we see in advertisements, as a yardstick. You open Vanity Fair or Esquire and you see very sexy and glamorous lives. And then the projects, for most people, seems to become, how can I get that, or as close to that as I'm going to get? There can be an immense amount of dissatisfaction trying to live that way. And many of us see no alternative but to live that way.
Advertising has polluted and infiltrated culture. It's in our movies. It's in our television shows. It's in our books. It's in our doctor's offices. It's in the taxi cabs. It's in the bar sitting next to you. The person who you think you're just having an idle chat with could have been placed there by an alcohol company.
It's been a slow evolution. This is not something that just happened yesterday. This is something that has been sold to us over, say, the past 100 years, slowly but surely, by those that want to make a lot of money.
Now that's what I call a good-looking car.
They want us to believe that you really need these things.
Every year that passes, there's more stimuli, there's more pressure, there's more options, there's more media, there's more noise. And by streamlining and simplifying and just letting people know that they have the option, it's that wake-up call that is really valuable and in a very critical time right now.
it got to a point in my life where I didn't know what was important anymore. Then, at some point when I was approaching 30 years old, I noticed something different about my best friend of 20-something years. Josh, he seemed happy for the first time in a really long time, like truly happy, ecstatic. But I didn't understand why, because we had both worked at the same corporation. We had both wasted our 20s climbing the corporate ladder together, and he had been just as miserable as me. So I did what any good best friend would do. I took him out to a really nice lunch. I think we went to Subway. And I sat him down and I asked him a question. Why the hell are you so happy? He spent the next 20 minutes telling me about this thing called minimalism.
Before I discovered minimalism, I think my life looked like pretty much anyone else's. I had a lot of stuff. Hundreds, thousands of books. DVDs and VHSs, closets full of expensive clothes. All of these things that I brought into my life without questioning. But when I started letting go, I started feeling freer and happier and lighter. And now as a minimalist, every possession serves a purpose or brings me joy. I have a bed and a chair and a radio, and I have some furniture in my dining room. In my kitchen, I have appliances. I don't have any excess stuff. Everything that I look around at, I have to be able to justify to myself, not to anyone else, but just justify to myself. Does this add value to my life? And if not, I have to be willing to let go. Ryan and I just finished writing a book about the last 5 years of our lives, from being these suit and tie corporate guys to minimalists. And so now we're going to get on the road for 10 months this year and promote that book, but really promote a message we really believe in, a simple living message of living more deliberately with less. Oh, and I'll need a jacket. We'll see where the journey takes us.
So you presented this as a 12-minute talk, 8-minute reading. Okay, yeah, cool. Because I just don't want to feel rushed to the talk, that's all. Right.
Ready?
I was born ready.
Nice.
Hello, thanks for coming out. My name is Ryan Nicodemus, and this is the Joshua Fields Milburn. And together we run a website called theminimalists.com. So today, Josh is going to read from our new book, but first I'm going to tell you a story about how we became the minimalists.
We've never been shut out, so as long as one person shows up,
that's all that matters.
I feel really good. We've had events where we've had 2 people show up, and that was amazing, because we got to spend time with 2 people and add value to their lives in a different way.
I'm a hugger, man. Okay. Thanks for coming out, man. John, thanks for coming out and seeing the talk, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
our pleasure.
Thank you.
Did you forget your Kindle and badge in there?
Oh, yes, thank you.
From the day I was born until the 2nd grade when my parents got divorced, I had like the perfect quintessential mom and dad. When my mom left my dad, she just really went off the deep end. By junior high, we had a lot of people over at the house. And later I found out they were in there smoking crack. They would cook crack. By the 8th grade, the SWAT team was kicking in our door, busting my mother for selling drugs. It was a drug that overtook my mother. Josh had a very similar childhood to what I did.
My very first memories of my father extinguishing a cigarette on my mother's chest. Shortly after she left my father, she started drinking. It was my biggest fear that I was going to get taken away from her. When she was sober, she was a phenomenal mother. I think she kind of felt trapped. My mom always complained about money. She didn't have any money.
I remember being poor growing up. And I remember thinking, when I graduate high school, I want to start on a path that is going to take me somewhere other than a struggle.
Half a mile turn left on the San Pedro Drive.
We're currently on our way to NPR for a radio interview. Those are our peeps. That's our demographic.
Howdy.
You're looking for Rita Daniels.
I think so, yes.
The minimalist.
We are
Yes.
indeed.
How are you?
I'm Scott.
I'm Ryan. I'm a hugger, man.
Oh,
Thank you, buddy. Oh, thanks for
we're
having
filming
us.
too.
Joshua.
I think my light bulb moment is when I was showing my guys how to sell cell phones to a 5-year-old. I was like, what am I doing? This mentality of getting a better promotion, getting a better house, getting a better car, getting a bigger paycheck, being able to buy more expensive bar tabs. And to do that, I had to sell cell phones to 5-year-olds.
There's a template out there. You can call it the American Dream or Keeping Up with the Joneses or whatever. That's just a template. It's not the template. And once we realize that, I think we can create our own template that works just for us.
The American Dream has a long history. It started out as a concept that was really more about opportunity. The U.S. is a land of opportunity where somebody could start out at the bottom, work hard, and do well. There's no question that what it means to have made it or to have achieved the American Dream in the United States has increased tremendously in material terms. $100,000 a year plus kind of income became more and more an aspirational norm across the society because that's what's portrayed as normal on TV. A six-figure income. Beginning from about the mid-1990s, Americans went on a buying spree that was probably unprecedented in human history. And a lot of it had to do with the cheapness of products coming mostly from China. Whether we're talking about fashion, electronics, all types of household goods.
So stuff's cheaper, but it's also more available. You can order stuff 24 hours online, they're big box stores. We ended up accumulating a lot more stuff. So much so that even though we have about 3 times the space per person than we used to in the 50s, so a lot more space, we got so much stuff, we need space on top of that, and so there's a 2.2 billion square foot personal storage industry, which is ludicrous.
So you have people living in these enormous homes. And if you really look at it, people don't use the space that they have. Someone did a study and they showed a heat map of where people traveled inside their homes over the course of a normal day. It was a family of 4 and they were in a very average home. And what they found is that people used about maybe 40% of their space. Nobody used the dining room. No one used the living room. There was a big, porch. No one used the porch. I mean, I'm not saying this is the way everyone lives. Some people use dining rooms, but it creates this big vacuum that you have to fill. So people are throwing all this crap into their homes that they don't need.
We're living our life depending on the space we've got rather than creating our space to fit our lives. It's so easy to go wrong. And you wind up with 3 dining tables in the same house. Well, you got to run pretty fast to eat at 3 tables at the same meal. Nothing is more responsible than living in the smallest space you possibly can.
We've probably sold or donated, I'd say at least 90% of our stuff. I mean, you can't bring all your stuff into a tiny house. I was commuting about 2 hours a day and then sitting in a cubicle for 10 to 12 hours a day. I had gained a lot of weight. I was unhappy. And I was kind of like, what's wrong with me? I should be happy. I've got all this stuff. Nice home, great husband. And Logan was like, well, you could probably quit your job if we simplified and moved into a smaller apartment. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't want to get rid of my stuff. I found a YouTube video, saw the tiny houses, and I was hooked. Hi, Earl. What's up, dude? I think the biggest thing for me, at least in the beginning, was the financial side of things. When we looked at our budget and the numbers, I was like, well, let's just give it a go. If I hate a smaller apartment, we can always upsize.
I think there's this element of affordability, simplicity, and sustainability that just makes tiny houses seem like the perfect solution to a problem we haven't yet figured out, which is how do we go from working all throughout a lifetime to enjoying a lifetime with a bit of work here and there. For a long time when people were looking to buy their first house, they looked at their budget and they said, how much money do I have to spend? Oh, I have $500,000. Let me buy whatever $500,000 can get me. And the big mistake there was that these individuals didn't have $500,000. They had a loan that would guarantee them that amount. And of course, after a few years of people buying houses that they weren't actually buying, they were just hoping to buy someday, the entire housing market collapsed.
We're down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
This could be the most serious recession in decades. And that means life, as most Americans know it, is about to change, in some cases dramatically.
I think where that has left us in the wake of a recession is with a really, really strong appeal to buying a house outright.
The vision that really came out of Life Edited is just like, hey, I think we got to take a step back here.
We're very much a mission-based company, the mission being to do more with less.
So the Life Edited prototype apartment started with me buying a place, 420 square feet in New York, and coming up with a really aggressive program. What I was asking for was a lot. Live at home for a couple, be able to have a sit-down dinner for 10 or 12, be able to have guests over in a civil manner, and be able to work at home with some sort of standing desk. Very quickly, I realized that small space made so much sense environmentally, but also made sense on many other levels.
One of the things that we really want to do is design homes around A, how people live, and B, what's truly important, creating more social homes, homes that actually bring people closer together.
It was kind of an incredible experience because going from the 1,200 square foot space, I had never felt more calm in my life. There was less stuff to think about, our overhead was lower. This is when I first started to say, this Life Edited thing, this philosophy, maybe there's something to it.
A beautiful future for us would be to do development that does really well financially, has a much lower footprint, and have lots of developers copy what we're doing. And so that it really spreads and we start to change how we live as Americans and just change this desire for the bigger is better philosophy.
I think we've only begun to re-examine what it means to be successful in life. It's no longer that white picket fence, it's no longer that McMansion. I think that people are beginning to recognize that they've maybe been tricked and that they maybe have more agency over their options than they once thought they did.
We're out sharing a recipe. We're not out here trying to proselytize. I'm not trying to convert anyone to minimalism, but I do want to share a recipe and see if there are ingredients that other people can get value from and apply those ingredients to their own life. There's this underlying discontent, and I think that it starts to manifest in our stuff. And what I'm finding as we go out on the road and we talk to so many people, everyone is looking for more meaning in their lives.
We're at the Tucson Book Festival. We're getting ready to go sign some books. And then a little bit later, we'll do our speech. Man, look at all these people waiting to get their books signed by us.
Let's sit on the outside. This just doesn't feel like us.
If one person comes, then we will go out to the front and stand there.
Okay.
What's up, man?
Oh, thanks. I'm a hugger, brother. I'm going to give you a hug.
Yeah. I follow you guys on Facebook, and you got your talk this afternoon. What time is it at?
We are at 7 o'clock. Imagine a life with less. Less stuff, less clutter, less stress and debt and discontent. A life with fewer distractions. Now imagine a life with more time, more meaningful relationships, more growth and contribution and contentment. So it's funny because people will inevitably come up to us and they'll be like, now I'm not a minimalist like you. I've got this book collection. I love books and I've got a nice big library and I love the way the books smell. I love turning the pages. I love how they feel. I love lending them out to my friends and then we talk about the books later. And I'm like, hey, keep your books. It sounds like you get a lot of value out of your books. And that's what I would say with any type of collection.
If you get a book or whatever, that's great. Make sure you minimize it afterwards. But I'd love to get a hug from you as well. We're big time huggers, so they're free and transferable. Make sure you grab one from us afterwards. I was 27 years old. I was the director of operations for 150 retail stores. It was December 23rd, 2008. I got a phone call from my mom.